What's up guys, Spartan85, welcome back to the channel, and over the last several weeks I've posted some polls and solicited feedback for 7 Days to Die specifically on kind of where the state of the game is, where it's heading, how we feel about it, and some things that maybe should return. And I think most of the answers are kind of what we expected or what we've kind of voiced or seen over the last several weeks, but there was one particular question I found pretty surprising we'll cover in just a minute. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out and voted. Some of these questions had over 2,000 votes and over 100 comments and really great opinions. And I really appreciate that for jumping on if you're a subscriber or not. I just really appreciate you guys hopping on and voicing that opinion. Without further ado, let's jump in. The first question I asked 11 days ago, should glass jars come back to 7 Days to Die? 1.8 thousand votes, 81% said yes, 19 no. And if you didn't get a chance to comment or vote, let me know down in the comments how you feel about glass jars. Should they come back? How would you bring them back? Would you bring them back just exactly how they were, or would you implement them with a durability system? Would they work with the rain/dew collector? Should they only be craftable with a crucible? You know, let me know in the comments. Love to hear from you guys. I'm going to read some of the comments we got on the post, and a lot of this kind of mirrors the sentiment of a lot of the comments. I think they should come back, but have a chance of breaking if carried in a pack when falling or taking damage, similar to the break sprain mechanic. So if you're fighting a zombie or maybe you fall, they have a chance of breaking or maybe taking damage. I'm not sure how this would be implemented, because is all the jars in your pack going to get damaged? Only some of them? What if you pick up new jars that have 100%? Do they fall into that category of broken now too if you have broken ones in your pack? Another sentiment in the comments, it's too easy to get water without having to worry about glass jars. And that's true. Once you get a water purifier mod, or you can put down 5 different dew collectors/rain collectors, yeah, water is pretty easy. I agree with that. I do love this comment. I don't get where the jars and the rain collector, dew collector come from. It should only produce water. Imagine going out in the morning to see your yard covered in jars full of dew, which is kind of funny. Why does all the dew congregate in your dew collector? Just call it a rain collector. And what about this? Empty cans were already a perfectly balanced item, a better option than bringing jars back. So maybe instead of bringing jars back, just bring back cans and make them reusable like jars used to be. Maybe something like that. And my personal opinion on this is bring them back. There's a lot of different things in this game, like, you know, the football zombie, the western zombie, the glass jars, empty cans. Yes, I know they cluttered the game. I know they made the files a lot larger. Maybe they caused some crashing, but jars were a big part of this game. And you know, I've been playing Alpha 16 lately, and it's a big part of survival, going back and forth from the lake, filling up your glass jars, coming back. And I really do think that having glass jars and using those for water makes you have to build a base near water, which I think in a real survival situation, you're always going to build near water. You know, if you build a shelter or you look for, you know, a town to settle in or something like that, you usually settle close to water, and we don't have to do that in the current version now. We just build a dew collector or a rain collector, whatever it is, and we can settle anywhere. Okay, next up, and this is the one that I hinted at that I was maybe a little surprised at the outcome. I kind of expected it to be more yes or more no. I didn't think it to be almost 50-50. So the question was, in your opinion, are bandits a must-have feature in 7 Days to Die? 1.8 thousand votes, 53% yes, 47% no. And the reason I asked this was it seems like the devs think that the community has to have bandits. Like, you know, from Rick's comment at the town hall where he said, you know, bandits are effectively delayed because of all these changes we're going to have to make. I don't think that comment needed to be made, because I don't know that the community really needs bandits right now. I think they just want some changes. They want the game to go back to a survival aspect, and maybe bandits fit into that survival aspect. And I think a lot of the comments on the post kind of mirror that sentiment also. Bandits would be nice, but they are far down my wish list. And if all they are is an enemy that randomly shows up, stands there and shoots you, I could go without them. I'd rather have the time and effort put into giving us a better survival sandbox experience. Need to go back to the creepy horror aspect of the old alphas. We need to go back to the old Alpha 16.4, but have all the new POIs and graphics. And that's, somebody asked me right now, how would you change 7 Days to Die? That's exactly what I would say. Go back to Alpha 16.4, but give us what we have now too. Maybe minus the plague spitters, maybe. I can't stand those. but maybe they're going to rework those in the future too. I like the idea of them as a different challenge, but I'd rather them focus on fixing what they broke now. If I wanted bandits, I'd play Fallout. And like I said, the reason I posted this, maybe the devs will watch this, they probably won't, but if they happen to see this, you know, the bandits doesn't have to be the end-all be-all for this game. Yes, you promised them in the Kickstarter, but you guys promised them. We didn't. Give us the game that everybody's asking for. You know, the glass jars, the learn by doing, the older zombies coming back, more of a survival sandbox experience. And I think they're doing that now. Yes, they're scaling back a lot of the changes they made with 2.0, listening to community feedback and instilling some of that community feedback. And I give them kudos for that. But in the end, with all this said, still 53% of you said yes. In your opinion, are bandits a must-have feature in 7 Days to Die? And I think some people might have said because it was promised in the Kickstarter. Yes, it is a must-have feature. Or maybe some people just want bandits in the game. Keep that in mind too, but it's not like 80% or 90%. Like it's one of those like, oh my God, we have to do this right now. It's just like, yeah, I think we'd like bandits. That'd be kind of cool. All right, this one really got people talking. So what's your opinion on storms and 7 Days to Die? 68% said, I turn them off or I don't like them. 32%, I like them. And then some of the comments, they're a cool concept. They need some work though, because they essentially just put the player in timeout, which is kind of how I feel. I think they are a cool concept. I think they were a cool concept back in like Alpha 15 when we used to have like snowstorms and rainstorms, and they really did affect you. Like if it was raining, it slowed you down a lot. Or if it was snowing and you didn't have snow clothing, it slowed you down. And honestly, you had to go shelter in place or carry a torch or put on warmer clothes because of the snowstorm was going on, or leave the biome, which is kind of what we have now. We have to leave the biome or shelter in place. So we kind of had storms before. What we have now just needs a little bit of work. Removing the clothing was the worst idea, meaning that we went to this armor system, which I do miss the old clothing system. I really do. You know, you would loot, you'd find hoodies, you'd find t-shirts, you'd find running shoes, you'd find skirts. I mean, in Alpha 16 right now, I'm wearing a skirt and it works. It works really well. You're at the trader, storm comes, stuck inside building, have to hear the trader over and over and can't get out. Who's all been there? Storms are pointless currently. They just put the game to a grinding halt. At least make the enemies inside the storm more dangerous, or bring back that insulated liner weather perk thing to combat the storm or something. Maybe also have you receive XP inside them. I don't know, just throwing stuff out there. I do like the XP. If you survive the storm, or maybe take shelter inside the storm, maybe get some type of challenge or XP or something like that. Give you something. I don't know. And then one last comment. I'm dead in the middle of the poll. I don't hate them enough to turn them off, but I don't like them either. Cool concept, but needs a lot of tinkering, because right now they're essentially a break from playing. Get up, walk your dog, whatever. And that's, I think, the sentiment of most of the comments on the poll was they're cool, but right now they just need a lot of work. You know, and how do you guys feel about the storms? Do you guys have a different sentiment? Does anybody really like the storms? Does anybody just start the game up and really hope to see a storm? Do you turn them off after the first, second, third playthrough, whatever? Let me know in the comments. Love to hear what you guys think about the storms. Okay, and last but not least, would you change the current skill perk system in 7 Days to Die? 2.3 thousand votes. 76%. So the majority said go back to Alpha 16 action skills, learn by doing. 8% said Alpha 18 no magazines. And then 16% I like what we have now. And Alpha 18 was interesting because, yeah, you earn points and then you put those certain points into what you want to craft. So if you want to get better at tool crafting or better at, you know, whatever crafting, you can put those points into that. But there's no leveling up your skills. There was no action skills in Alpha 18, but it also had no magazines. You didn't have to go read magazines to get better at crafting stuff. And me personally, I think Alpha 16 had the best setup. Alpha 15 was okay because, you know, that's the one that you nerd crafted like 100 stone axes overnight, and then suddenly you can make a level 100 stone axe. I think that was a little much. Alpha 16 was the perfect hybrid in my opinion, because yeah, you got better at using the club, you got better at using the stone axe or the iron axe, whatever. You got better at using it, but you still had to put points into crafting. So if you want to get better at tool crafting, you have to put a point into tool crafting. So I really do think, and it's the best hybrid of what everything has been over the years. I want a hybrid of all three. Books for stuff that makes sense, like how to make a bike or really high-end food, or a forge. stuff most people wouldn't know. Then the perks be bonus things for skills that you learn by doing, which is sort of like Alpha 16 was. And then Just Rob, I personally like the way Darkness Falls handles the skill tree. It's action-based, and the class system is very rewarding, which I completely agree with that. I think Darkness Falls has one of the best skill perk systems in the entire game. It's Alpha 16 based, but Kane made several changes that made it way, way better. Anything but the magazines? The old console version, I miss it. My only issue is how difficult luck-based it is to find certain books. I'm on day 66 and still haven't found most of the vehicle mods. Only the 4x4 armor and fuel save. And that's kind of the problem with the current magazine system, is it's very luck-based. And so maybe if there's a particular, like, tree you want to go down, you could put points into that tree. If you're an intellect person, you should be able to unlock those vehicle mods or certain weapon mods in strength or something like that. You should be able to unlock those if you're in that tree, not based on luck, in my personal opinion. And I think all of these are great, ideas. I think everybody in here has great ideas of how the game should change. Maybe some of these are big changes, some of these are small changes, but I think all these opinions are great, and that's how this game is only going to get better, is by voicing these opinions. And hopefully the devs see these, whether or not here, maybe on somebody else's page or another creator's page or on Reddit or Steam, wherever. And I think it'd be kind of cool, and I've said this before in different videos, I think it'd be kind of cool, a change I would suggest, and this is kind of a subtle change, but I think it could really change the beginning of the game, is we used to have working workstations throughout the map. You used to be able to find the forge house that had a working forge. And if you saw that off in the distance, you rushed to that because it had a working forge. And then you could pick it up and take it with you. Or we used to be able to find working workbenches or chem stations or cement mixers, whatever. Sometimes they were at the traders. Sometimes they were in POIs. Sometimes you would find broken ones. And sometimes you would find working ones. I think we should bring back the chance to find working workstations. Now, I did hear that they were crashing dedicated servers, and that's why they changed them to all broken, but they can find a way to fix that. I think it would be great. It would change a lot of the aspect of the game, especially in the first few days, because how do a lot of us play? Most of us probably go find Trader Wrecked, and we do our first 10 jobs to get the bicycle. But I think if we were able to craft the bicycle, it's locked in the workbench, of course, so either unlock it from the workbench, meaning you can craft it in your backpack, or let us find workbenches throughout the map. Maybe we can make the frame and the handlebars in the forge, which I think probably that's where you would make it in real life anyway, not a workbench, but you would probably forge it somehow, get it, heat the metal and bend it, and then maybe make wheels craftable again. Or maybe we can find wheels like we used to. We used to go, hit tires with our stone axe and find wheels. So if you find those parts or you craft them, you can put the bicycle together. And now we don't have to do these 10 grindy quests with Wrecked in the first 3 days. We can go do what we want. We can go explore. We can go explore the different biomes. We can go find a POI to take over. And we can do the quests when we want to. Or maybe we take a different reward other than the bicycle, because we always have to take the bicycle as the reward. Those other 3 or 4 rewards do not matter at all, because we always take the bicycle. Just a small suggestion I've had, and I just wanted to put it out there. What do you guys think about that? And what do you guys think about all these other polls and the state of the game? Let me know in the comments. Love to hear from you guys, and thank you all for all your feedback and getting out and voting on these polls. Really do appreciate it. I'll catch you guys out there in another video. See ya. Bye.